Hi, everybody, and welcome to Boots on the Ground. I'm Robert Helms, host of the Real Estate Guys radio program, and today we're going to get a market update from one of our proven providers. And we're very excited to be doing the first Boots on the Ground market update with our friend from Belize, David Kafka. Hey, David.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing well. I lost the coat today since we were talking about Belize. I wanted to dress the part, but this is a market that we've known and loved well. Under normal situations, we would have been there for a couple of Real Estate Guys discovery trips this year, but all that has not happened because the border's been closed. So just bring us up to speed quickly on kind of what's happening COVID-wise in Belize.
Yeah, we've had a surge. We had it all down, pat, where it was low numbers, but we've had a surge due to some people partying and things like that and border jumpers. And we have now over 700 cases, 10 deaths. So we're back on lockdown. We were supposed to open the borders August 15th, but that got pushed back for at least, we don't know yet. We got to see these numbers come down, with the COVID-19.
Well, I guess the context of all that is Belize is a destination for a lot of reasons. So you've been a broker there for more than 10 years. You've got one of the largest, if not the largest, real estate brokerages in the country. And so you have different groups of people coming down. We've talked about this in the radio show. You've got folks that are looking to retire. You've got folks that want a second home. You've got people that are opening businesses. And then you have investors. And of course, when investors think of Belize, they may be thinking about the tourism returns. When tourism stops, well, that's a bit of a challenge. But let's talk about the other parts of it, because people are still buying. The market's still active. Who are the buyers right now?
Yeah, we have a lot of people that have come to Belize before the shutdown, or were kind of on the fence, but I guess with things kind of going on in the world, they're pulling the trigger now. Since COVID has come, we've had a tremendous amount of people wanting to have like mini farms, 3 to 5 acres that they can come down, have some space, put a farm on it, like grow some vegetables, a few little animals and things like that. And they're buying them sight unseen. We're doing virtual showings, going out there with our iPhones and, just kind of doing the camera and showing them where it's at. And they're pulling the trigger. But, pretty much, and we have some sales that are kind of pending, inspection when the airport opens. So our leads have gone up. Of course, we've ramped up our advertising because so many people are at home surfing the net. So we're kind of throwing more marketing advertising budget, into that so we can, get our return.
Well, that's kind of interesting because Belize for many people is one of those, someday I'll invest their marketplaces, right? They get the bug, if they come down and visit, they fall in love with the place, but maybe they're just not ready right now to pull the trigger on something, but they watch it. So in the past few months where people have had maybe a little more time on their hands, I could totally see how that would be the case. Let's talk about what's happening on in the various markets, because you work in the mainland. Your office, in fact, is in Placencia, southern Belize, but you also work out on the island. The major island is Ambergris Caye. In fact, that's where you're living, and not exactly locked down. You can get around the country a little bit better than most people, but spending time in the #1 tourist market, Ambergris Caye. So what is that place like, sans tourist?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I kind of like it because it's quiet. You don't have to wait in restaurants, things like that, but we do miss the tourists.
Well, and that's a big point, because tourists often turn into buyers, either the second home buyer or the person that goes, man, I totally see this. And of course, tourism has been amazing in the last 10 years. If folks come on our discovery trip, they usually get a chance to meet you there. We always look for providers in the market that know the place and understand, kind of long-term what's happened in Belize. But the market has been up, up, up. The first quarter of 2020 looked like it was going to be amazing. And then boom, the border shut down near the end of March. So things are going to open up again. Right? I would imagine we're going to see like a lot of the tourism markets. It'll be a slow start. Folks who aren't sure they want to get on a plane to another country just quite yet. But I know that you keep tabs on airlines and so forth. When we get through this, What's your expectation for what tourism looks like in the new normal?
I think it's going to be ridiculous. I think we're going to be so busy that it's going to be not more than we can handle, but it's so many people are saying they're ready to come. So many of your listeners are ready for, a boots on the ground trip. So it's just going to be, people are wanting to get away, and, we're less than, 2 hours or less flight from majority of the people in the U.S. And so they don't have to go many different places or stops, to get to Belize. And plus, we have a lot of space that people can social distance. Even, I don't think COVID's going away. So we're going to have the space where people can, get around and be safe about it.
Well, and everybody has to make their own decisions about that, right? There'll be the early adopters. They're going to be on the first plane down. Then there'll be the folks who are going to wait and see a little bit. Then there's going to be people that just aren't going to be comfortable. And that's all fine. But it's interesting, a lot of in studying the disease, which we really did for our crisis webinar, we talked to several people, our mutual friend, Chris Martinson, PhD, scientist. And one of the things we've learned, of course, about COVID is it's not as easily transmitted out of doors. I instantly thought of Belize when I heard that, because you spend so much time outdoors when you're in Belize. Paint some of the lifestyle picture for maybe folks that haven't been to Belize yet.
Yeah, most properties have more outdoor space than indoor space because we spend so much time outdoors. There's so much water sports, snorkeling, diving, windsurfing, parasailing, all types of fishing. We can run at a few places in the world. We can get the Grand Slam, with fly fishing, the permit, the tarpon, and the bonefish. Then we have the reef fishing and scuba diving. And then we have, you can go to the mainland and go to the jungles and do the hiking and things like that. So there's no reason why people spend so much time in Belize indoors.
Hey, David, let's talk about the other type of investment besides the tourism oriented investment, if you will. You definitely have folks that rent property in Belize. I know you work on affordable housing projects. I know that you put together real estate syndications in Belize. How has that part been affected? A lot of Belizeans are in the tourism industry, so they're probably out of jobs, or they're certainly not making the income they were. How's that affecting people getting paid for rents and the return on investment for those types of properties?
Yeah, it's. I think there's going to be some opportunities coming up because so many people are out of work, and on the boots on the ground, on the discovery trip, we talk about the Belize retirement system, where they live in the top floor and they rent out the downstairs. And so many of the workers are out of work; they can't afford paying. Plus, so many of the majority of everything's closed except for some grocery stores and vegetable stands. A few restaurants are open, but majority of everything else is closed. So, because of that, they were asking people not to evict, tenants. But that has kind of now gone, and people are moving out, and we're seeing a lot of owners for affordable housing not being able to service their debt if they have debt. So we might see some foreclosures coming on the market. The banks are trying to work with everybody, but we're going to see it. I mean, I'm hearing it, so it's just a matter of time when we start to see that.
Yeah. One of the things you'll learn if you don't already know this about Belize is there's not a lot of bank financing. And so the majority of homes and apartments and retail buildings are owned outright, which means that there's owner financing many times. But the other thing it means is that when you have people that have cash assets, in difficult times, they sometimes have to sell that stuff. And for many people, Belize is their second or third market, if you will. You actually shared with us, David, that back in 2008 and 2009, that the market wasn't super distressed, but there were people who just absolutely had to sell, not because of what was happening in Belize, but what was happening at home. They were out of work. Do you see that maybe coming around again?
We've had a couple cases like that already in Placencia. I'm not seeing or hearing about it in Ambergris Caye. I'm in Ambergris Caye right now. Got caught in the lockdown at my house here. I wanted to be here with the family, so I left Placencia. So I'm hearing it from both places. I don't see a lot of that right now, but we have had a couple cases that we've sold beach lot for probably about $40,000-$50,000 under market value. So somebody got a pretty nice deal on that. It sold for like $160,000 for a beach lot in Placencia.
That's pretty good. I've been going to Belize for 15 years now. I can always keep track of that because the first time I was there, my wife was pregnant with my son. So I just look at him and I go, oh, yep, he's about to be 16. Okay, I've been going to Belize 16 years. What has changed a lot is the number of units and the brands and all that. What hasn't changed is the entire time I've been going, there's never really been a buyer's market. There hasn't been a bunch of stuff on sale. Last time we got even close was in the downturn in the US, but because of that, it created what was really the biggest buying market. The most sales of real estate was in 2009. So there hasn't been a buyer's market. In this case, because of who owns the properties, not Belizean owners necessarily, but probably some, but certainly people from Canada and the US that own, they may just have to make that decision that with everything else going on, they're going to let go of properties. So we'll make sure you keep us posted on how that's going. I wanted to ask you about one more thing since we have you here, and that is in addition to owning the RE/MAX brokerage there and to working with investors as well as homeowners, you've got a new business that you opened. So you opened your business at the first of the year, and then COVID, stopped. But talk about that part of it, because you've taken this downtime to do a couple of pretty clever things.
Yeah, so what we're doing is, I wouldn't say we're taking advantage because people are needing money, so they're approaching us and telling us, hey, we'll sell you this stuff for this price. And it's such a great price, we're taking advantage of it, and buying and just holding on to it, because we know everything's going to open. The store was doing so good before the shutdown. So we're buying it for cheaper than we can literally buy it for, on Amazon or Alibaba, stuff like that. So it's just really, crazy. Just people are needing the funds, and we happen to have some, left over, in, what we had in our account there, and just saving it. And so it's really working out. And so we're just building up inventory.
Well, it's kind of a cool store because it's a beautiful art store. In fact, it's one of the places we stop when we do our Belize Discovery trip, because I love the store. I love the kind of stuff that you guys curate there. 4 or 5 of the great Belizean painters. You have a lot of their stuff. But here's why I like the store. It's kind of a win-win. You've got these painters who normally would be selling to tourists. There aren't any tourists. So rather than not work, they'd love to earn some money. They come to you and say, there's no tourists beating down my door. Hey, maybe you'd like to buy a couple paintings to give you a really good price. So that gives them income. It gives you inventory at a better price. So when the country opens up again, you'll be in good shape. So I love that story. Hey, David, it's been great getting to get the update, the boots on the ground update of what's going on in your marketplace. You've done a really cool report. And since we haven't done a boots on the ground market update with you yet, talk quickly about the report you put together on the cost of living in Belize.
Sure. Yeah, that's the most first question people ask. How much does it cost to live here? And it's kind of, what Russ says compared to what. It just depends on where you're living and how you want to live. So I've taken, in rentals, food, everything, and put it in this one report, and what it costs for healthcare, car insurance, utilities, and it's all broken down in one report. And love for the listeners to have it. And they're more than welcome to share with me any ideas or any changes or anything they want to add to it. I can add to it, whatever we have or whatever.
All right.
They want.
Great. So if you're interested in that, it's the cost of living in Belize. It'll help you if you go there on vacation, but it's really aimed at someone who's thinking about maybe having a second home there or relocating. If you'll send an email to BelizeUpdate@realestateguysradio.com, BelizeUpdate@realestateguysradio.com, you get 2 things. You'll get that cost of living report. You'll also get a chapter that David wrote, an awesome book. Maybe you've heard us talk about this book on the radio show, Don't Quit, Stories of Persistence, Courage, and Faith. It's a collection of awesome stories. He'll send you his chapter, not the whole book, but the chapter that David wrote. If you'll just send an email again, just send away an email, Belize Update at realestateguysradio.com. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. There you have it. Another great market update, a market that's going to get even better when the airport opens back up. We'll check back with David in the upcoming weeks and months to find out how that progresses as they come out of COVID-19. Thanks for watching this edition of Boots on the Ground. Look for other great episodes of our market update series on our YouTube channel. Happy investing.